Each one of these LEDs is going to need its own resistor. I'll be going with 5Ks, and I may put an additional resistor on the bundle of them to tone them down even further. We'll see when I get that far. Typical resistance for full power on these would be maybe 470 ohm resistors. By going with 5K, that should be more than 10 times the amount that they need. But I don't know if it's a linear progression on the dimness. So even though it's 10 times the number, it may be a different amount for the relative brightness value. So an experiment that I need to be doing is grabbing the old breadboard and plugging in a range of resistors up to 10 million ohms and see what the exact effect is on the LED itself. Probably using 470 or even 500 as a base, just for round number purposes. So they're going to be set something like this. One of my dilemmas here is that I did not put a piece of plastic down on the base before I put that photo etch from Fedoratron in there. Technically there should be a clouded piece of glass and then each of the 4 lights below it. So I kind of screwed that up. White glue, even if I taped off or put some kind of surface on the bottom of this, because those holes do lead straight to the outside world up above in the upper decks. Even if I taped that off really tightly, there would probably still be some glue leak, and I could just interfere with the patterning overall, making the effect worse, not better. I've tried to think of other things to do, like melting clear styrene into there may work, but again, the hot styrene may push through to the other side, in which case that's no good. It would definitely be easier to control than white glue would be, and much more thicker too at the same time. No, because I'd be melting it in acetone, and that itself would be a mess to have in this small area. So no more experiments, no more guessing at this late stage, especially for something so critical as this. At best, what I'll be able to do is put a clouded piece of plastic here first, and then the 4 LEDs on top of that. Since I got the soldering iron going though, let's get these 4 LEDs at least soldered up to their resistors, and then we'll figure out the lighting when everything's in place. So these helping hands today will be helped themselves by the Jupiter 2. I'm very happy to say that I have this convenient piece of milk jug glass, and what I'll do now is set a diameter for this circle. Somewhere in there should do. That is not going to be too bad. The only thing I'm really worried about here is this glue not attaching to this kind of plastic. That plus the LED should hold it into shape. And I'm probably going to wire these together somehow, but I don't quite know how they're going to set into place yet. Let's try a test, because it would be nice if these could be flat against the surface. It looks like the memory card ran out somewhere before I finished this third solder. There's 3 in place. Now for number 4. So essentially I want 2 leads coming out and no more. Positive and negative. I got my positive over here. There's my... oh, hey. Just trimmed the wrong one. So let's wire in a little bit of black wire. And there we go. One little custom 4 LED 5000 ohm little guy. And I should probably wire in some positive as while I'm at it. And the question becomes, where will this travel to? So we got a negative lead right here, nice and handy. Cut that somewhere around here. And there's a nice little positive tap right there. Oh, I thought that was a straight power line. It turns out it's a flasher. So I'll have to find some different power sources to plug these guys into. That's funny that just off of the taps there that it's pulling all that flash going on. So next time, test the connection beforehand. So if I need an additional flashing color in this immediate area, I've got the wire for it. For now, I'll just leave it there. In a few cases, I've trimmed off wires and fiber optics and later regretted it, so I think my plan is to avoid premature trimming. It's a lot more wire than needs to be, but at this point, I just don't mind. May not be obvious here, but there's distinct color difference between these warm whites and these warm whites. These are what I call fluorescent whites. They're kind of on the green side, as you can probably see on screen. It'll be more obvious when I pan the camera around the upper decks. These are 4 out of maybe 20 or so that I've ever found in the 8 years I've been doing this now, 10 years almost. Now it's just going to be a matter of figuring out how they get stuck in here, and I think I'm just going to use a little glue to hold it down in place. And it definitely looks like I could use another resistor on here. I think this is going to work well. Pretty much move each LED individually to where it needs to go. Right about there looks pretty good. I don't know, I think that's pretty good on the brightness. It's too bad they're set a little too far down. Other than that. So on a technical note, the 4 LEDs should be much closer to the surface of the platform than they are. That's definitely the look to go for. Now I'll see what I can do about the brightness in post. So had I put a clear piece of plastic under there, the same milk plastic, and then put the LEDs just about as close, it looks like, that would have been the perfect setup for that. Awful close. Oh well. But that means I'm probably about ready to install the elevator at last, which means the fiber optics for the control panel. Over here, the temporary placeholder for the back room. And I have recently discovered, rewatching a lot of reference, that the middle button on this side should in fact be red. In a lot of the previous reference, when I was looking, I just couldn't find it, and then it turned up in a second search of different reference. I have to redo the yellow light in the middle there. That is definitely out of order. I burnt it out, I believe. I love the effect. Turns out that is not a furnace. What it is a book reader, essentially a scanner, which will, when the page is inserted from the book, or the book is inserted, it'll read it and feed back information they want. There is a red LED in here. The top one, as you can see, that also burnt out, and I stuck another red LED behind it, and it's just not quite the same as it ever was. However, once the yellow is back in here, all those levels should line up again with each other. I do have to touch the danger towers with some more red Sharpie to fix that up, but otherwise, if I could make that red denser, that would be ideal, because you can barely see the point lights in a lot of the shots that I've come across. Nice. There's also the general alarm to fix up here, and then it's too late to do one additional light on the top because it'd have to go through photo etch. So with that in place, this ever unseen panel wall right there, in Season 2 at least, it is not there, so I'm going to check for Season 3, which is where it's more likely. In Season 2, this door back here did not have a window, and it led to a storage room, which eventually got moved over to behind this console, which is currently housing this bit of storage right there. 2 flashing circuit boards. So the consoles here, except for this eventual computer, are all done. So next up, it looks like it's going to be the freezer tubes, which I have out right here.